Okay, so let's start. Starting from today, we're going to add information symmetry into our discussions. We're going to illustrate the ideas of information symmetry. Today, we will start our discussion about screening problems. We will do an introduction and the main idea by using a two-type models. Okay, so the lecture of today will be containing 4 parts. We will first do an introduction, and then I will formulate a problem and tell you how to find the first best solution under complete information. Then information symmetry comes in. We will illustrate the incentive problem and how we use the revelation principle to reduce the problem. And finally, how may we find the second best optimal solution under information symmetry, and the comparison and some insights. Okay. So our introduction of information symmetry will start here. In particular, okay, we will start various kinds of principal-agent relationships. Okay, principal-agent relationships are particularly useful for us to discuss information symmetry. In this kind of model, there will be one principal and one or multiple agents. In a sense, we are saying that there will be one guy designing a contract or a mechanism. This guy is called a principal. And this mechanism or contract will be used for the agents to play the game under the mechanism or contracts. So we say the principal is the mechanism designer and the agents are mechanism followers. Okay? So in some situations, we may have multiple principals. They design multiple contracts for one single agent to decide which game to play. This is called a common agency problem, but we're not going to touch that in this course because it's too hard. In this course, for most of the time, we will focus on problems with only one principal and one agent. It turns out that even with this very simple model, okay, very simple relationship, there are a lot of things to discover and discuss. So with this principal-agent architecture, now I'm going to classify problems with asymmetric information to you. There are at least 2 kinds of asymmetric information. One are characterized as hidden information. The other ones are called hidden actions. Okay? Information are pieces of knowledge that is obtained by people, okay, some knowledge, and actions are some decisions to make. Each of them may be hidden. When we have a hidden information problem, we say there is an adverse selection problem, okay? And for hidden action problems, we call them moral hazard problems. For adverse selection problems, there are also 2 kinds, 2 different situations. If it is the agent that has the private information, then we say the principal faces a screening problem. The principal needs to find a way to screen the agent's type. Or if the principal has private information, then the principal faces a signaling problem. The principal must find a way to signal what's his type. Okay, so under hidden information, there are signaling and screening. Our plan for this course is to tell you the most basic ideas about these asymmetric information problems. For 4 weeks, we will discuss adverse selection problems and in particular the screening problem. We will leave the signaling problem to the end of this semester for about 3 weeks. We then, after screening, we will talk about moral hazard for about 2 weeks. Okay. After that, we're going to combine, for example, adverse selection and moral hazard to be a multi-dimensional problems. There you will see problems that, for example, an agent has both a hidden information and a hidden action. Okay, we will discuss that for about, again, 2 weeks. These are contained in the textbook in chapters 2 to 6. Okay, actually, there are much more in this field, information economics, but unfortunately, we don't have time to talk about them. So let's discuss what is a screening problem. So we will start our introduction to the screening problem by considering the following buyer-seller relationship. In this example, suppose you're a manufacturer, you decide to buy a critical component of its product. You want to make something and you need this critical component. You cannot produce it and you need to find an agent to do that for you. And then you find there is a supplier who can supply this critical product. You only find this one, so you need to make some business with him. Okay? You find a supplier to get this product. You know, it's possible for the supplier to use one of two kinds of machines to produce these products. These two machines produce the identical product. However, the costs are different. Okay? One is high, one is low. Or we may say, for the high cost machine is inefficient and the other one is efficient. As a manufacturer, you face this supplier, you somehow does not know which machine is owned by the supplier. You don't know how costly for the supplier to produce the product. And then you need to answer this question. How much should you pay for the part? Okay? And certainly that depends on the supplier's production cost for making this part, something you don't know. The difficulty you are facing is that if I know the supplier's cost is low, then I can ask for a low price because there is room for me to cut down the price, right? But if I ask what's the cost for you to produce each unit of this particular part, the supplier will always claim that the cost is high. Okay? This is exactly how the supplier may get some profit margin. Because I need to do business with him. So he must somehow try to make the price as high as possible. And that's why the supplier will always tell me that his cost is high. I need to pay him a lot so that he will be able to produce this part. Okay, this is something I need to face. Okay, so it's lucky that at least I know there are two machines. The supplier must be using one of them. If I don't even know this piece of information, then it's even more advantageous for the supplier to increase the price. Okay? So in this case, we know information is valuable. So as a manufacturer, I want to find a way to screen the supplier's type. If I can know what's his type, I will be able to get some benefits from this contracting stage. So in general, an agent always wants to hide his type so that he can get bargaining powers. By type, we mean a part of the agent's utility function that is hidden to the principal. Okay? For example, the cost. The cost definitely affects the agent's utility, and the cost is private, and that's why we call it a type of the agent. In at least for these 4 weeks, we will only talk about one-dimensional problems. That means the agent only have one piece of private information. Okay, we will ignore those possibilities for the agent to have more than one piece of private information. In the previous example, okay, if we use our terms, the manufacturer is the principal, the supplier is the agent, and the cost is the agent's type. There are certainly more and more examples. The one we're going to discuss in this lecture for detail is the following. We're going to consider a retailer's problem in which the retailer does not know how to charge an incoming consumer because the retailer does not see the consumer's willingness to pay. If I know how much the consumer wants to pay, I know how much to charge, right? But unfortunately, I do not know, so that's why I face this pricing problem. Or, as an advisor, in the beginning of this semester, I try to decide how many papers for us to read in this semester in this course. Okay, I do not know how to assign reading assignments to you because I do not know the reading ability of you. Okay, If I know you guys are actually very strong in reading difficult papers, then actually I will assign, for example, 20 papers in this semester so that I can teach you more and you can learn more. Unfortunately, I am afraid that's too much to you, okay? And that's too many to you. And that's why I need to limit the number of reading assignments to you, because I do not know your reading abilities, okay? So in some sense, the fact that the reading ability is hidden to me is protecting you, okay? If I know exactly how many papers you are able to read in a semester, I'm going to assign that amount of paper for you to read, okay? So in either case, the private information is protecting the agent. And in this course, and in this lecture, we're going to mathematically see why this is true. So one way to deal with agents' private information is to become more knowledgeable. For example, the manufacturer may want to ask some other guys to see whether the machine is efficient or inefficient. But in many situations, it's impossible or too costly. And that's why we need another way called mechanism design. The standard way to screen a type is through mechanism design, or in the business world, we call it contract design, because the buyer is going to design a contract to the supplier, or the seller is going to design a contract to those potential buyers. Okay, contract design. The principal is going to design a mechanism or contract that can find the agent's type. We're going to tell you how to do that in this lecture. So in the following 4 lectures, we will introduce the main concepts of mechanism design to you. We will start from the easiest case. In this lecture, we will discuss the case that the agent's type has only 2 possible values. There are 2 machines. There do not have 3 machines or 4 machines. There are only just 2 machines. In this case, we say there are 2 types of agents. One type having the efficient machine, the other type having the inefficient machine, something like that. We will focus on 2 type problems in this lecture.